Chapter 1. Context. For future reference, later in this video, this is the third time that I'm attempting to make a similar video with the same goal of finding and documenting the rarest possible mobs in Minecraft, and spent so long doing all of the calculations necessary to make this the most accurate you can. And just for future reference, there are a lot of independent and dependent factors that I'll cover in the next chapter. The first relative half of the mobs that I'm going to be presenting are going to be expressed the rarity in a percentage, whereas the second half are going to be in scientific notation. And no, we're not using E notation because I'm still in grade 9. I don't even know what that is. I know this list isn't going to be perfect, but I'm trying to make it the best I can. And my hope is one day some survival or hardcore YouTuber will use this video when capturing the rarest mobs in their video. Chapter 2. Factors. A factor is an element or characteristic of a mob, or entity in this case, that determines its rarity depending on the complexity of the factor. A factor can include like what kind of mob it is, what they're wearing, what they're holding, enchantments, and where they spawn. Most of the factors are dependent factors, meaning that the rarity depends on what they're wearing, such as diamond armor and enchantments, being left-handed, being a baby, being a jockey, all sorts of things. And for the sake of simplicity, the rarity of the coming mobs isn't going to be including the enchantments of the armor and tools, because I don't really know how to measure that yet, and also the biomes are another factor that I'm not going to be mentioning, due to it being an independent factor, meaning that you can't really calculate it into the setting. Okay, now let's get on with the video. Chapter 3. Mobs. I'm going to be going down this list of mobs as you see here. The first mob on our list is the Endermite, and the Endermite has a 5% chance or 0.05 per Ender Pearl throw to get this mob to spawn. Fairly common. Next mob is the Charged Creeper, and it actually doesn't have a direct percentage or decimal to spawn because it requires a thunderstorm and lightning to strike a creeper, which are conditions that can't really be measured in a natural seed. Next mob on our list is actually more common than these two. It's the Double Stack Strider, and it has a 10% or 0.1 per Strider to get this with a baby on top, or an adult in this case. Next is the Zombified Piglin Jockey on a Strider, and I know they actually can't spawn with armor, I just gave you that. It has a 3.33% chance or 0.03 per Strider. And if the Zombified Piglin, this guy, if he's a baby, then it heightens the percentage to 0.165% or 0.00165 per Strider. And if it has the Jack-o'-lantern, for Halloween, because on Java they can have that, it heightens it again to 0.00004125 or 0.004125% per Strider. The next is the Wandering Trader, and the Wandering Trader spawns after about 14 days in a Minecraft world where the game will try to spawn a Wandering Trader every 20 minutes or so, and this can actually fail, which makes it more likely to spawn in the next spawn attempts. It has approximately 25 to 75% chance of spawning each time. The next mob on our list is the Evoker riding a Ravager, so the Evoker Jockey, and it has an 80% chance to spawn per raid, and there's an 100% chance to spawn for any sort of jockey to spawn during a raid, like the Pillager or Vindicator Jockey. This mob, the Peaceful Pillager, which doesn't have a crossbow as you can see, actually has a 0% chance. You'll never be able to find this naturally spawning in a world. The next mob is a Brown Panda, which has a 2.04% or 0.0204 per panda and can only spawn in jungles. It's the rarest panda variant. The next mob is the Skeleton Horseman. It has a 1.5% to 4% chance or 0.015 to 0.04 to spawn during a thunderstorm. And with armor and being left-handed for the skeleton, brings it to a whopping 0.000000192% or 0.00000000192. And that is, in fact, 8 zeros with the decimal, which is so rare. And, by the way, I'm not even including the enchantments. This is actually a common misconception, but the Bog Stray and Wither Skeleton Horseman cannot spawn in current versions. You cannot get these unless you use commands. The next mob on our list is the Pink Sheep. And the Pink Sheep has a 0.164% or 0.00164 per sheep to spawn in your world, so it's actually the rarest single mob you can get, if you're not counting jockeys. The next mob on our list is the Blue Axolotl. It has a 0.083% or 0.00083 per axolotl and can only be obtained through breeding, which means you can't get the guy naturally, but it's still a very rare mob because it's in the game, in fact. And the next mob on our list is the Screaming Goat, which has a 2% chance or 0.02 to spawn per goat in your world, and you'll be able to tell based on the weird noises that he makes and the fact that he drops weird horns. The next one on our list, we're getting to the rare category, is the Spider Jockey. And the Spider Jockey has a 1% chance or 0.01 per spider to spawn on its own, which is already rare, but with full diamond armor and it being left-handed, it brings it to a whopping 0.00000001325% or 0.00000001325 per spider, which is super rare and then again not including enchantments. Next one on our list is the Weirdity Mob, which is my profile picture, if you couldn't already know. And this mob is actually really rare because it's a baby drowned with an enchanted fishing rod and a knotless shell with full diamond armor riding a chicken. And this mob has a 3.6 times 10 to the negative 13th power on its own. And if you factor in the fact that on Halloween this guy actually has a chance not to spawn with a jack-o'-lantern or pumpkin, even though he has a diamond helmet and such, yeah, you can kind of see it there, it would bring it to a 2.7 times 10 to the negative 13th power. And if it's in a slime chunk, it brings it to a whopping 2.7 times 10 to the negative 14th power. Next on our list is the supposed rarest mob in Java, which is this mob. A baby zombified jungle villager texture with an iron sword in his left hand that can pick up items and is riding a chicken and all such. And you know, just for future reference, a zombie being a leader actually can't be calculated, which is why I also didn't calculate that. And it has a 6.8 times 10 to the negative 14th power. And if it were not to have a pumpkin, but still on Halloween as on its head, it would bring it to a 5.1 times 10 to the negative 14th power. And if it were to spawn in a slime chunk, it would bring this to 5.1 times 10 to the negative 15th power, which is indeed rarer than the Weirdy mob. However, the Weirdy mob can only spawn in a land ocean ruin, otherwise it would dismount the chicken if it were underwater, which is why this mob could be rare if you're factoring in independent factors. I know, these two mobs here are actually insanely rare. They're the rarest mobs in all of Minecraft. However, they don't look very cool, so most YouTubers don't mention them, but I will because this has to be complete. And the first mob is a jungle textured zombified villager with full diamond armor, iron sword in his left hand, riding the same thing but with an adult swamp villager. And this mob has a 2.5704 times 10 to the negative 26th power. This also applies to mobs like this, which is a baby drowned riding a husk. It's an 8.6832 times 10 to the negative 25th power, which is kind of similar to that, maybe a bit more common, but still absurdly rare. And now for the top two competitors. First up is this mob. It's a baby zombified swamp textured villager, iron sword in his left hand, picks up items riding a brown panda. And this mob has a 1.0404 times 10 to the negative 17th power, which is so rare. And this can only spawn in jungles, which is this guy, and that's near a swamp, which is this guy, which is why they're so rare. And what needs to happen is this guy needs to spawn, and somehow, because in Bedrock Edition, these guys can ride like a variety of other mobs, and it's just chickens, needs to find this panda before any other mob that it could potentially ride. Next mob on our list is also a baby zombified villager, and it's also riding something brown. And it is a jungle texture, full diamond armor, iron sword in his left hand, can pick up items, riding a brown mushroom. And this mob has an insane 4.9804688 times 10 to the negative 19th power, and only spawns if a mushroom is naturally struck by lightning, and by spawning terms, this mob can't actually spawn naturally, as it requires a thunderstorm, which, when you spawn in a world, it can't be thunderstorming, but this can happen if you spend a lot of time in a world. This mob might indeed seem rarer than that mob, so what's the contest? Well, that is because of something called the biome dilemma, which has been keeping me up at night. The Mushroom Island is actually one of the rarest mobs in Minecraft, making up a 0.15% or 0.0015 of your Minecraft world, which is really rare. However, this isn't actually the rarest mob in Minecraft. No, the rarest biome in Minecraft is actually the modified jungle edge. It makes up a 0.0001% to 0.00027% of your Minecraft world, which is only like a few millionths, which would easily make this guy the rarest mob in Minecraft and throw this one out of the park. However, it's not guaranteed that that is the biome it spawns in. So if it spawns in just a jungle near a swamp, this would be crowned the victor, and if it was a modified jungle edge, that won't be crowned the victor. The modified jungle edge is 1,500 times rarer than the Mushroom Island. So I guess it's your choice to decide which one is fair. After all this, there is still one more mob left. And I'm sure that no YouTuber would ever get the chance to say this, and that is the subscriber. And there's a 2.9 or 0.029% or decimal of viewers in the last 28 days have subscribed to my video. And considering I have 298 subs and 63 videos, currently not including this one, on average that is 4.730158730016 subs per video. Despite this mob not being nearly as rare as this mob, if I were to find this, it wouldn't mean nearly as much as it would if I found this mob. So that is all. Kill, die, win, hit, this mob.